Ladies and gentlemen, the first video with Alameda City Manager John Russo of 2012.
All right.
John, how are you settling into being city manager of the great city of Alameda, California?
It is a great city. I've been here for 7 months now, and just about settled in. I think it's just about done. We will be recruiting for a new parks director this spring. Once we fill that position, I think the executive team is pretty much set. We will have ended this sort of period prior to my arrival here, about a 5-year period of quite a bit of turmoil here at Alameda City Hall. I think once we fill that parks position, we have the team we're going to have going forward.
To be a recap, you're the Alameda's first permanent city manager since 2000?
Well, no, it's not quite that bad, but they have not had a permanent city manager since 2008. I believe it was 2008, and that person wasn't there very long. The long and the short of it is I'm the 7th city manager. When you count the interims and the actings, I'm the 7th city manager since 2005. And that instability was damaging to the morale of the organization from top to bottom. All of our folks have been damaged by that. We're in negotiations with our miscellaneous units right now, and it's a difficult set of negotiations because of some of the hangover from that constant instability. After this set of negotiations, I think we'll be in a much better place.
How many vacancies do you have remaining open? You filled police chief, right?
Police chief is filled, fire chief is filled, human resources is now filled, community development director is filled. And the important thing with police and fire is when you have an acting chief, then you have acting captains and acting lieutenants because nobody can permanently move up. So by naming Mike Noonan the chief of the police department, that created an opportunity to stabilize the rest of the brass.
Sort of ripple effect stability.
Yeah, it's really important. I can't tell you how important it is. I'm not suggesting that people should be in these jobs forever or get stale in these jobs, but when you have 7 city managers in no time flat, nobody knows what the policy is going to they don't know what the policy is going to be from month to month, and that is not a good environment in which to innovate, take chances, float new ideas, do difficult things, which is really successful governance is about doing the unpopular things that are necessary to move a city forward. It's hard to do those unpopular things when nobody knows who's in charge.
We talked about this briefly, I think, before, the Lawrence Berkeley
National Lab
expansion competition coming from your perspective?
Well,
I know it's over, and
it's over, and we're just waiting now. For the we're waiting for the envelope to be opened, and there is. They being the regents were supposed to have made a decision in November, but they canceled the regents meeting due to concerns about safety and whether or not they would be able to have a regents meeting that wasn't disrupted. They then said that they thought they would make a decision in January, but my belief is that we'll get a decision in March. I've always been skeptical about the ability of the regents to make this decision in one meeting. I have a feeling they're going to have to come back and do it twice, ask some questions of the staff, maybe do some of their own due diligence, and then come back. I like Alameda's chances. I wouldn't say we're certainly not the favorite, but I feel the staff and the community as a whole in Alameda, the people of Alameda, absolutely put their best foot forward in this process. The public meeting that was held here in July was a spectacular success, and very important. You have different factions within Alameda politics who nearly never agree with each other on anything, all at the meeting, all pulling in the same direction. That's a really important thing for a city, important thing for a project that has concerns about potential litigation.
And why is it that Alameda is a better choice for LVL than Oakland?
Oh.
Make your pitch.
Well, easily, I mean, well, there's no doubt we're a better choice than Oakland. The Lawrence Berkeley proposal has two elements to it. One is for them to consolidate their existing scientists who are spread in several different locations around the East Bay. But the second part is to expand to several million square feet of lab space. There's no question that the Alameda Naval Air Station is the best choice for them if they are serious about expanding into a large national laboratory. We have the space for that. We have the views. I think the main concern with the lab people is there's a sense that the Naval Air Station is remote for their purposes. When you look at the actual highways that people would be traveling to get from the Berkeley campus here, those highways are not clogged in the morning when you'd be coming to Alameda. And so it's a little deceptive.
So you're talking about what, 80 to Nimitz to off, right?
No, well, to get here from Berkeley, you go down College and get on 24.
Yeah,
24,
right.
980 to the tube.
Well, that's a straight
bang,
shot.
Bang, bang. It's
right.
a straight shot, and
Yeah.
24 in that direction is not a big problem. The problem is 80, which our competitors, the main
80 is always clogged.
80 is always a problem.
And for those people not watching, 80 runs past Embryville, it feeds into the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza,
Correct.
and it's always crowded. It goes all the way up to Richmond.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, I think we have that challenge that we're perceived as too far away. But our strongest advantage is Alameda itself, which is a very safe community, and the fact that that Naval Air Station has all the room they need to expand, and we're offering the land for free. It's a direct deal between the laboratory and the city, so we don't have a developer interposed that needs to make a certain rate of return in order to satisfy their investors. They can grow or not grow, they being the lab, can grow or not grow at its own pace because they'll be dealing directly with us.
Now changing the subject a bit, substance to this online argument regarding the land swap, Ron Cowan, how some residents feel about. Can you help us with that?
Yeah, well, all right, so let me tell you what that's about. The Alameda City of Alameda owns and operates a 45-hole golf course facility. It's been there, it's expanded over the years, the most recent expansion being in the early 1980s. But that course, there's been a golf course run by the municipality since the 1920s. It is
Wow.
it's a piece of the fabric of Alameda, is that there's that golf course. And Mr. Cowan, through his Harbor Bay organization,
Land developer.
is a land developer. He developed most of what's now referred to as Harbor Bay, Bay Farm Island. It's a part of Alameda that's actually attached to the mainland. So Mr. Cowan developed Bay Farm Island in the post-war era and was very successful with that. He is a native of Alameda. He's made a proposal to the city because the city was looking for solutions about how to fix the golf course. Let me set the stage for you. The golf course has 45 holes, two 18-hole championship courses, and a really sweet little 9-hole that is used primarily for seniors who can't play the 18-hole anymore. It's used for kids. My kids learn to play there. And it's used for teaching. I learned to play. I didn't pick up golf till I became an elected official when I was in my mid-30s. I actually learned to play on the little 9-hole, the so-called Myth Albright 9-hole course.
Just to note, you gave me your old clubs.
I did. And you played on the Myth Albright course with me.
That's right.
So I actually have a lot of sentimental attachment to the Myth Albright course, and so do a lot of people in Alameda. The city did a study in 2007. That study shows that irrigation, drainage, other sort of mostly unseen infrastructure issues on the course are a $6 to $7 million problem. That's the number we were given back in 2007. National Golf Foundation did this study. There's also some issues with some of the cart paths and some of the greens. But basically, you've got a $6 to $7 million problem there. And where's that money going to come from? The golf course is run by a separate enterprise fund. It does not have $7 million in it, in significant part because over the years, the city has taken profits out of the enterprise fund. It's their enterprise, it's profited, they've taken profit out of it. That's gone into the general fund. And they did not put enough money back into the repair of it, which is largely unseen.
So they're taking a little too much money out of the cash cow.
They did not reinvest in one of their most important assets. So now where do you come up with $6 to $7 million? Harbor Bay makes a proposal to the city that if you trade us the 9-hole course in exchange for a similar acreage that we possess, we being Harbor Bay, we possess in the North Loop Road area of the Harbor Bay Business Park, we will pay you. At this point, the number is in excess of $7.2 million for we'll give you $7.2 million in cash for the 9 holes, plus we'll give you this other property that the city has appraised at $8 million. So we'll give you the value of $15.2 million for this 9-hole course. The city had done 3 different appraisals. None of the appraisals reached $15.2 million. Well, one of them does reach 15.2. There are other benefits to the city as well, and those can all be found online on the City of Alameda website. If you look up the golf, all the numbers are there. What that would require would be a redesign of the south course and a new 9-hole, a better, in many ways, 9-hole golf course in part of the area that's not currently being used and in part of what is now the south course. Specifically, there's 5 holes on the south course that would have to be rearranged. That is a very controversial proposal. There are people for different reasons who do not want to see the 9-hole course moved.
Why? I mean, for someone that's listening to this lives, say, in Chicago.
I think there are many different reasons. I believe that some of the people who live on Harbor Bay Island, who live out at Bay Farm Island, in the Harbor Bay development, bought houses, in effect, from Ron Cowan. They are concerned about traffic by adding more houses to the island. Mr. Cowan's proposal is about 130 more houses. They're concerned about that. There's a concern about the loss of green space. Even though it's a golf course, it's still green. There's concern about that. And then, you know, the MIF golf course was built by volunteers primarily, designed by city employees in the early 1980s. So you've got a large population of older folk who actually worked on building this thing.
It's their baby.
They're really invested in it.
Yeah.
And they're emotionally attached. So when you add the sort of standard homeowner concerns about growth, around traffic, air quality, etc., and there are legitimate concerns about those things. When you add that to the sentimental attachment to the MIF golf course, where it is as it is, and then you add a large group of golfers who feel, well, why do we have to, in effect, cannibalize a part of the golf course to pay for the city's sins of not reinvesting in the golf course? When you add all of that, that's created a great deal of opposition. Now, on the other side...
And now they're mad at you.
Well, they're mad at City Hall. They're mad at whoever's sitting in this chair. I mean, my job is to explore all options. The number one policy directive here is to fix the golf course. And the Harbor Bay proposal for the so-called land swap does 2 things. Number one, it fixes the golf course. And number 2, it allows us enough money and space to build 3 new sports fields. And that would be on the North Loop Road side. Now, there's no question that Alameda needs more sports fields. We just had, the Parks Department just did a study, was released late last year, talking about the need for more sport fields. So we need them. So here's an opportunity, if you're in a staff position like mine, where you say, okay, well, out of this, I get enough money to fix the golf course, because I get 3.5, out of the money that Harbor Bay is proposing, 3.5 million would go to the golf course, and approximately another 5 million would go to the ball fields. And we solve the city's problem at the golf course and begin to make significant progress on the new fields we need. That's something that we have to look at. Now, we may not decide to go there in the end, and that decision is for the city council. And because of certain quirks in the Alameda charter, this will require 4 votes, not 3 votes of the council. The land swapping recreational land requires mandated 4 votes. Can't be done by a majority vote. And that's probably as it should be in terms of protecting open space and recreational space. So the council will make this decision on March 6th. Because the swap was so controversial, the public discussion sort of lost sight that really the prime directive here was, how do we fix the golf course? Now,
Let alone get money to do it.
right, where do we get the money to
Right.
fix the golf course? And of course, I've had many people say, well, the city didn't put money in, the city should do it. Well, as I say to them kind of jokingly, when I came in to city manager's office, I didn't find a safe that said, money we filched from the golf course to fix the golf course. There's no money.
Excuse me.
There's no money. And the general fund cannot support a reconstruction of the golf course. And borrowing money where the golf course is the only collateral is going to be pretty expensive money. And I'm not prepared to recommend.
Plus, you're essentially asking city services to be sacrificed to a degree
No,
if you take it from the general fund, if you
If you
try
take
to.
from the general
Right,
fund. No,
right.
I'm talking here about if we were to borrow with only the enterprise fund as the collateral.
Right.
I don't think there's any stomach on the city council. There's certainly no stomach from city staff to use the general fund either as collateral or as direct payment to fix the golf course. What's done is done.
But what do you say to those people who, and I don't subscribe to this, but it's provocative, okay? And we talked about it off camera. Who say, oh, you're in the pocket of Ron County, you're in the pocket of,
Yeah, okay.
I think it's silly, but,
Well, of course it is. And people always say that. People always say that about it is a feature of every controversial issue involving land use, that there
That's
is
true.
an allegation of corruption, either de facto corruption or, sort of sub rosa corruption. It's a feeture. I would
Wait, sub
challenge
rosa,
you-
that's a new word. What does that mean?
It means under the table.
Is that
in other words,
Italian?
No, it's Latin.
Oh, close.
Yeah, well,
You're Italian. It was like,
Romans. But I would challenge you to look at any municipality in the state where there is a controversial land use question in which unfairness and corruption are not raised as issues by opponents of whatever the proposal is.
which leads to a quick, because I know we're on a little time limit here, but
Yeah.
redevelopment.
Yeah.
What do you think about what Jerry Brown did, the court challenge, and how it impacts Alameda? Because in Oakland, they're going to lay off 150 people if nothing's straightened out.
I understand why the governor did what he did, but I feel that the destruction and dismantling of redevelopment was an act of economic vandalism. California has no economic development program.
Right.
The state of California.
No, it never really, it really has.
And to the extent they used to have the trade, industry, et cetera, secretary, I believe that seat is still vacant. Redevelopment at the local level is the only economic development program the state has.
Right.
So without an alternative to replace it, I'm puzzled how a state that is constantly in financial straits is going to get out of financial straits absent some program that will allow businesses to overcome the financial competitive disadvantages of locating in California, to wit, high wage, high land cost, high regulation.
Right.
I happen to support high wage. I happen to support a lot of those regulations. But you must, if you want those things as a progressive, you must understand that while you can stop certain activities from happening in a state or a city due to regulation, you can't make someone invest here.
Right. Right.
And that's a problem for us as California.
And growing.
So I think...
Why doesn't Jerry just bite the bullet and attack Prop 13? Why go this direction?
You'd have to ask him that question.
Wow.
I don't
Okay.
know, when you say that, I don't know that the public in California would allow a significant reform of Prop 13. I'm not sure that's Jerry's fault, that today you would have a very difficult time overturning the residential portion of Prop 13.
Right.
The commercial portion of Prop 13 would be very difficult for all of the anti-business type allegations that would be thrown at you for doing it. But I do believe that allowing Prop 13 to exist in the commercial context has helped California favor the horse and buggy industry over the auto industry.
Right, right.
Because what you're doing is you're favoring businesses that may not otherwise be competitive in the marketplace by, in effect, giving them a subsidy.
What's Alameda going to do, and how does it affect Alameda?
In redevelopment?
Yeah.
It affects Alameda pretty strongly in two areas. Number one would be, how do we finance the infrastructure development at the Naval Air Station? And second, on our North Shore, we have quite a few properties that could use redevelopment's attention. Specifically, what I'm thinking of is the Boatworks project.
Yeah.
We're struggling with the owner right now to tear down some blighted properties. That's a perfect candidate. It really is a blight. Perfect candidate for traditional redevelopment. As far as the city of Alameda and the staff, we will lose 3 positions as a result of redevelopment. Unlike many cities, for example, our brethren over the estuary in Oakland, in my town where I live,
Yeah.
Alameda has not used redevelopment money, has not honeycombed redevelopment money throughout the hive. And so, unlike Oakland, which has used redevelopment money throughout its staff
Right.
to pay for police officers, part of the salaries of the council members,
Mayor.
the mayor, the city attorney, etc., Alameda doesn't have that problem. Alameda was much more conservative in the true sense of the word with the use of redevelopment funds. And so we will lose almost 3 positions.
Court challenge?
The court challenge, I think, was very difficult. You were looking to an institution, people who were in favor of redevelopment were looking to the courts to bail out redevelopment here against the attack from the legislature. But remember that those courts are under a lot of financial stress as well, and they're funded by the state. And so I'm not suggesting that the justices
Fox is
were
guarding the
biased.
hen house.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting they
Basically.
were biased, but I know many commentators who feel that redevelopment may not have gotten, that was not a fair shake forum.
I don't know.
So, it's no use crying over spilled milk. We are where we are.
We could talk another hour. To close real quick,
Sure.
give me a score of the Giants-49ers game.
I don't like that I'm going to predict this, but I'm going to say 23-29ers.
Wow. A Brooklyn boy.
But I'm hoping for a different result.
We'll see. Hey,
And
thanks.
we'll see.
Thanks, John.
Thanks a lot.
You got it.
See ya.
You got it.